Hello, everybody. My name is Humberto Cisneros, and welcome to Ivy Resumido for Ivy students or anybody that's interested in Ivy content. Today, we're going to go with our second video on business. Quick notes, remember that I'm looking at a presentation right now on my computer. It's a presentation that was provided by my teacher. I'm probably going to be using the contents on it to talk about the things I want to tell you guys about business, the things I learned about business. Remember that this is mostly me telling you what I learned. And yes, it's going to be similar to the presentation I'm reading because I learned from that presentation. But I'm going to try to add a comment here and there just to enrich the conversation. Because remember, I don't like to teach the normal way. I'm not teaching you, I'm not filling you with context. I'm basically just telling you like a conversation, like how I get stuff and things. So if you just see me look somewhere else, sometimes I just like to avoid the camera for some reason, but don't pay attention to that. If you see me look right there, that's where my presentation is at. And if you hear my keyboard, I am very sorry. It is or my mouse, it is because I'm clicking the slides of the presentation. So my bad. So we're gonna start with the sectors in the economy. We have the public, the private, and the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. There's three very simple sectors. If you want me to summarize them, basically public, you can say it's from the government. Private, it's anything that's not from the government and earns its own money. And nonprofits, it's all of those that don't earn money at all. They do earn money, but they are registered as a nonprofit, meaning that everything that they get, it's either from donations and stuff. They normally don't get a profit. It's not like I don't know, organization, a nonprofit organization, it's trying to save the animals, and you pay them, I don't know, $100 so that they can save the turtles. They waste 100. They invest $100. Sorry, they invest $50 into saving the turtles, and the other 50 they invested in themselves. That's a profit. The $50 they're keeping, that's a profit. That's not something nonprofits do. They don't get something. They don't get a win. They normally sustain themselves from donations or other stuff. But from the products or services they sell, they get no profit. Either they don't get any money from doing it, or they everything they get, they spend it again. So that's basically nonprofit. The public sector is very important. Public sector is from the government. It's mostly things that can be paid by taxes itself. It doesn't need to be rentable since the government is buying. It's paying for it. But of course, that doesn't mean it doesn't have to be good. There's a pretty good private sector in many countries, as well as there are many bad private sectors in public sectors in different other countries' economies. So, public sectors are normally things like health services, police, insurance. Well, not insurance, but education, things like that, basic needs that the government normally provides to you. And the the private sectors, I'm getting a bit confused here. The private sectors are a little bit more closed. You need to be either at a certain economic standard to get there, or being just able to pay for them. This is very. This can be like, I don't know. A simple way of imagining it is that a hospital can be both private and public. It's just that the public one, you don't really have to pay for it or pay much for it. In the private, it's a little bit more specific. And there's, of course, many more businesses on the private sector than on the public sector because the government doesn't have that many needs to cover, many needs and wants to cover, such as like phones, computers, technology. There's not a lot of that in the private sector, in the public sector, sorry. Normally, you can divide them by for-profit organizations and non-profit organizations. There's also others, which we're going to see later, but right now, just focus on for-profit and on non-profit organizations. The for-profit organizations can be divided into sole traders, into partnerships, and into corporations. Sole traders are basically just one person that drives the business. You are sole. You are the one who gets the business, and a way to remember is that a sole trader, if they die, it gets over with it. Like, you can get employees, of course, but it's normally a sole trader business. It's normally for those businesses that have, I don't know, that they normally won't develop after the person has passed away, or just won't develop later in life. For example, maybe somebody that gives tech support. For example, if I ever get, for example, if this channel ever becomes a business, it will be a sole trader business because I don't plan on anybody continuing the YouTube channel. But in the case that it were to be super famous, I'm gonna be switching to the next type of for-profit organization, which is a partnership. A partnership, it's basically a sole trader, but different sole traders that get together into a whole contract and they divide the liability. What is liability? You're going to be hearing this a lot in business. Liability is basically the fault, like who's going to get the fault or default um, of having like invested or just going bankrupt. It's like on partnerships and with sole traders, you are gonna get full liability for it. You get unlimited liability for both sole trader and for partnership. Well, depends on the partnership because maybe there's a person who gets the liability and you are only an investor in the company. But normally, both sole traders and partnerships are full liability. What does this mean? This means that if you lose money, then you're gonna keep losing money until you pay all your debts or everything you own to anybody. Then in partnerships, also there will be one owner at least who has unlimited liability. Normally, it's common that if you're partners, you will say, "Hey, if we fail, then we're gonna like divide the liability so that it doesn't affect economically everyone." But it of course depends on the partnership. As I was saying, this YouTube channel could be a partnership. If, for example, one friend of mine also has to do their CAS experiences and he wants to also to do videos for the IV, well, he might get into the channel too, and we do a partnership. We hold both liabilities since the liability of a YouTube channel is not that risky. We can have it, and maybe. Oh, by the way, there's also a deed of a partnership, which is the document that states how it's everything divided among the partnership. And finally, we have we have the companies, the corporations. Actually, there's different names. There are some people call companies and corporations the same. In my syllabus, in the IV, I believe, syllabus that I'm taking, it companies and corporations are basically the same. There is no difference. But in Mexico, companies, compañías, and corporations, corporaciones, are different. They do have different significance. So be careful to how you use them in your day-to-day life. But if you're studying for a test, probably taking them as a C thing. Remember, there are many synonyms for a lot of words, such as firm, also can be a company, or a business, kinda can be, well, a business can, it can be a company can be a business, but a business don't necessarily has to be a company. But yeah, companies are normally owned by shareholders. They're shareholders. There's normally more organization in what is a company. There's hierarchy, which we will be seeing later on the videos. Hierarchy is something very important to take in consideration into human resources, but we'll see that later. But there is a thing with companies, and that is that they hold limited liability. This means that they cannot lose any more than what they spend on the business. Shareholders cannot lose more than what they have spent on the business. So that is a great plus for making your company, making your business a company. If you're trying to make it a sole trader, I think if you have a partnership, you kind of can make it into a company. I don't believe that personally. I don't believe that a partnership can be very good for at least in most cases. It has to be for very specific cases. I believe that if you're planning to make a business, you should make it a company so that you hold limited liability, especially if it's a risky company. Because remember, unlimited liability means that if you start to own a lot of money, government and banks and everything can have the right to take away your personal stuff, and you probably don't want that. So yeah, be careful on that. And basically, corporations are shareholders. Shareholders participate in the board of directors, which is kind of the top branch of an organization's hierarchy. We have normally CEO, the board of directors, and those board of directors have managers, and those managers have employees, etc., 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 etc. There's also two types of limited liability companies, which is what I say, a company. There's the private limited company and the public limited company. The private limited company is the one who cannot have like shares, public shares to the public, like cannot sell shares. And the public limited company is like the opposite. They actually have shares to the public. People can buy shares, shares like SHARES. There are plenty of different private companies, um, plenty of different public companies. And if a private company wants to go public because they need money for some reason, they can make an IPO, which means that a company just opens their shares to the public and everybody can buy it. Spotify has done it. Zoom, the meeting company, has done it. it is, I guess, something pretty common in the business world. Now, with the non-profit organizations, there are two main non-profit organizations, which is the NGOs, which is the non-governmental organization. If you're a fan of MUN, as I am, you can be very familiar with this. And there are also charities. Charities are, I really, well, charities, I really like charities. I think most of us do. And it's something that we are commonly aware of. I like when concept in business is very well known. For example, you probably didn't know about Soul Traders, but you do know about charities. And if you're an enjoyer of MUN or anything related to the United Nations, you probably see a lot of NGOs here and there. So we're gonna go first with nonprofit. Well, nonprofit organizations there's no revenue, as I stated before, and we're gonna go first with the NGOs. NGOs are something very interesting. The NGOs are organizations that benefit society but without any type of help from the government. They, as I have a definition here, non-profit organizations that usually state their purpose or mission as a benefit as benefiting society or the environment. NGOs want to benefit society of the environment. They want to make good. They want to help, etc. They do this by not being affiliated to the government and also not having any type of profit. They cannot win money. It's not a. If you want to help people, go with an NGO. If you want to earn money for yourself, don't go with an NGO. Except if you want to go, except if by some chance you actually get an NGO and then you decide to, hey, let me get another company affiliated somehow with this NGO, and then from this company I can get people to the other company as a business strategy. But the company itself, the NGO, it's a nonprofit and it will be a nonprofit. And if it ceases being a nonprofit, either you're doing something illegal or you just didn't describe your organization properly, your business properly. Now we're gonna have the charities. Charities are nonprofit organizations that exist to benefit the public. They help people. They're good. Normally, charities work with NGOs, but charities are, I guess, a very good example will be Team Trees, and Team Seas, which is something that's going on right now. If you want to look them up, teamtrees.org and teamseas.org. Team Seas, I think by the time I will be uploading this video, it will still be going on. The goal for to get to 30 million pounds of trash, 30 million pounds of trash, get gotten away from the ocean in at least in 2021. So yeah, if you want to help that charity, just a little like parentheses there. But yeah, charities are something really cool. It's seen good by the public, and whenever you donate to charity, you actually get a little money off your taxes. I don't really know how that works, but you can look it up. A lot of people do that. That's why ethics and charities are like kind of there's a conflict there. Now we're gonna talk about cooperatives, which is one of those businesses that I told you that are in between of profit organizations and non-profit organizations. They cannot be described exactly as a for-profit or as a non-profit, so they have their own little category, which is like the middle. First, there's cooperatives. Cooperatives are, well, social enterprises owned and run by their members, like the employees. The people that work there are the owners. There's not like a shareholder or a board of directors. There are members are the ones who are part of the company. There's three types of cooperatives. There's the cooperative, there's the worker cooperative, and the producer cooperative. Pretty easy. Consumer cooperative owned by consumers, worker cooperatives owned by the workers, and producer cooperatives. It's when cooperatives and the cooperatives join with each other to process their products and better. I don't know. I guess consumer cooperatives, an example can be um, whenever I don't know, maybe be a supermarket that its own workers work there to get, or I don't know, maybe somebody making a farm to for themselves can be a consumer cooperative. Like a lot of people have land, so they're like, okay, let's make a farm. That's also a business, but it will also benefit us because we're gonna get money from that farm, and also we're gonna get food from that farm. There's a lot of examples of cooperatives over online. I recommend you look them out. And if I'm not wrong, I think Ocean Spray is one of like the biggest cooperatives that they are. So yeah, you can look up Ocean Spray, see how they manage to do everything they want in case you ever want to do a comparative by yourself. There's also microfinance providers. I know this one very good because I had to represent a microfinance provider called Finca International, if I remember correctly. The I'm giving a lot of promos this video, but yeah, Think International is basically, well, any microfinance provider. It's basically people that analyze your case, they see how you're doing economically, and with that, they can give you a type of money. They give you money that probably a bank wouldn't be able to give you. So, and they normally invest into you. So microfinance providers really like to get into you. They really like to like learn what are you doing with your money, what could you be doing with your money, so that whenever you get the time to spend it or invest it into a business or in anything, they can actually get it back because it is very difficult and of course, well, it's not involved in business, but very cold-hearted to. It's basically impossible for someone with low resources to pay you because how are they going to choose between paying you a debt or like paying for their food, right? So people have to analyze very well whoever they're giving money, and that's how microfinance providers work. They microfinance you. They give you a little amount of money so that you can invest into things that might give you more money back, so that you can pay them back with certain interest, like banks, but at a smaller rate. And normally they do work with low economic class people. There's also public-private partnerships or PPPs, which means that the public and the private sector work together to make something. This, for example, can be a bridge. There's a bridge, and maybe the public sector isn't strong enough for the to do like the construction, so they hire a construction site and they make their business and their contract right there. And normally, for the first times, maybe like I don't know, an example of this will be making a bridge, and then the bridge for the first 5 years you have to pay for it because it's private. But then after that, the contract releases, and now it's for the government because that was something they were aware of. And yeah, that happens. That is something very common with PPPs. You normally it starts private, then you make it public for the rest of its life. But yeah, it's basically the public sector and the private sector working together for a common benefit. You're gonna see that a lot. Common benefits are very well. Common benefits are very common in business. That you can they're very concurrent. Finally, we have social enterprises. Social enterprises are those who generate revenue with social objectives at the core of operations. What is this? Well, I remember that there was the Global Citizen Live event a couple months, well, like a month or two ago. It was it did have profit, but most of it profit went towards helping, I guess, the environment, society in general. There's also Toms. I don't know if you guys remember, Toms are not as popular as as they used to be when I was younger. But I remember that Toms always had this thing where like you buy a pair and somebody else gets a pair, somebody that actually like somebody with really low economical resources gets a pair. So that's pretty cool from Toms, and there's plenty. Basically, there's commercials. Normally, profit goes to the owners. Social profit goes to people or to something. I had the opportunity to make a business. Well, it's actually going to happen this week about selling stickers, and the stickers are going to help plant trees. Actually, 50% of our revenue, it's going to go to planting trees. I will say info in the description or something, but it's just going to be a quick project. It's going to be a business that's going to last 3 weeks. No, sorry, 3 days. It's gonna last 3 days. It was originally going to be about a week, but then it switched to only 3 days, which was the original plan. And now we're just gonna do a business from Friday to Sunday and see how it goes. I think it will probably do pretty good for us. But yeah, that was all on the business types. Remember, a quick summary: there's for-profit organizations, which is sole traders, partnerships, and corporations. There's the in between, which are the ones that we just saw, the social enterprises, PPPs, cooperatives, and am I missing something? Microfinance providers. And there's the very end of it, which is the nonprofit organizations, which are usually NGOs and charities. And that was all. Thank you for watching this second video of business from IB Resumido. The name is in Spanish, because I'm Mexican and I am taking most of my classes in Spanish. There's very few that I'm going to be talking about in English because are the ones that I take in English. If I cannot remember right now which ones I'm taking in English apart from business, but yeah, this is mostly the one that I take the most of English, so that's why I'm going to be talking about it in English because my knowledge is in English, so it's easier to reach it like from the bottom of my brain or something. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, leave a like, and comment if you want me to do a video on something specific. I'm gonna be doing this as a project, of course. This whole channel is a project, so you can make it pretty easy for me content-wise to tell me doubts in the comments of whatever you have, something you didn't understand. Remember, if you know me personally, if you're in my school, you can always count on me trying to, I don't know, tutor you on anything you need. I like tutoring because it helps me review by myself anything that is not that's a bit fussy in my mind. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.